3, 2, and uno. Well, hello, everybody. It is David Nuno, and this TexAgs Rewind. Do you hear that in the background? Nick, explain what's going on.
Just a whole mess. It's always a little wild back here on Fridays, but the whole crew's hanging out. Got Ethan and Cade here.
Did he just do the two fingers like peace sign? What did Ethan just do? Ask him what he just did.
Ethan, did you just shoot the peace sign?
What'd you do?
Oh, he did.
What is this, 1997?
Yeah.
Hey, what did we do today? I just asked you because I get lazy. What did we do on the show today?
Well, OB gave his pick 6 picks. Always fun to do that. Pick the biggest games of the weekend. Billy kind of broke down what the Ags needed to do to get ahead of the Gators. Had Caroline Fenton. She's always great. Kind of broke down everything with the college football weekend, and then the final countdown. I guess only one, or I guess 2/3 of the final countdown. So. I'm sorry, I don't count. You're not in that 2/3. I guess. Yeah. Anyways.
I see how it is. It's all
awkward.
Good. Yeah, awkward. Hey, by the way, you need to see HR after the show. Thank you, Nick. I appreciate your time here. It's been a pleasure. Just watch the TexAgs Rewind just because you're supposed to. Because if you made it this far, you're gonna watch the real content that's coming now. I'm going TCU.
I'm taking the Horny Toads as well. Texas Tech is not. They're at their best when they're at home.
Yeah.
Right? They're not at home. And TCU has a lot to play for. So I'm with you. TCU.
TCU all day. And Texas Tech, they're the kind of team that, I don't want to say they're like A&M because they're not, but they can win games that they shouldn't, and they certainly can lose games that they shouldn't.
But when they win games they shouldn't, it's typically in Lubbock.
Yeah, true.
Where they play better.
True. How about maybe the biggest game? No, it is the biggest game of the weekend as our number 2, Nick.
Yeah, definitely the biggest game of the week. Number 1, Tennessee, going to number 3, Georgia, 2:30 kickoff. Georgia, the 7.5-point favorite.
In some ways, that's number 1 Tennessee against number 1 Georgia.
Yeah.
And in the AP poll, it's number 1 Tennessee against number 2 Georgia.
Correct.
Or is it number 1? Yeah, it's number 1. Or vice versa. Maybe Tennessee's. I don't know.
Did you read? There's a column out there where some unnamed SEC coaches were saying Georgia's defense is overrated, and it's just based on reputation from last year that Tennessee's going to be able to move the ball on them a lot. I say, nah, Georgia at home. I know Tennessee is much better than Oregon, trust me, but I think that number 7.5 is tempting to go the other way. I'm taking it. I'm taking Georgia.
Okay, I'm going to take Tennessee. I think Georgia wins, but I think Tennessee will keep it within a touchdown. And I'm doing this because I was doing some research yesterday in conference games. Matching number 1 and number 2. So conference game. Conference regular season games.
Right.
Matching number 1 and number 2. There have been 6 ever.
Okay.
And all of them were decided by 5 points or less. The most recent one being number 1 LSU beating number 2 Alabama in 2019, 46-41. Okay. You remember Joe Burrow?
Yeah. Of course.
But so those games have always been close, so I'm just going to follow the historical trend.
You're making me want to change but I'm not changing yet. If I change, it'll be later. All right, I'm not going to change. Number 3, shall we, Nick?
Number 24, Texas.
There's a lot of orange on that thing.
We can't do this. Pick 6 is done.
Texas and Clemson.
Yeah, we can't talk.
Sorry, I'll take
and
those
then
off.
there's that hint, that tent with Florida.
Yeah, we can't do it. Can't even do the A&M game.
Yeah, I'll take those graphics off next time. But number 24, Texas, going to number 13, Kansas State. Texas is the 2.5-point road favorite.
I'm taking K-State.
I'm taking K-State all day on that.
Although they don't know who their quarterback's going to be.
They get points.
Yep.
They're they're at home.
Yep.
They I don't think they're 8-0. I don't think that record's right because they lost to TCU. But they're in the running to get into the. And historically, they give Texas trouble. And quite frankly, they look like a more physical team.
Yep.
I'll take the Kansas State Wildcats.
I am 100% with you. We're way late for a break, so let's got to get through these last couple. What's next?
Alrighty, we got number 6 Alabama at number 10 LSU. Alabama is a 13.5-point favorite.
So I think Bama's going to win, but I am taking LSU at home because that's a big number.
I'll take LSU in the points.
The hard part as a fan / enjoyer of Aggie athletics is like there's a lot of optimism that I think was built from last week, even in a loss, because you saw things. But then you got to temper that knowing there's a lot of TBDs, heading into this game. And I just think the timing I wanted to see them build on last week.
I know. It would have been – and what?
It can still happen.
I don't know. They'll build like, oh, here's this just flowing. I wouldn't say last week's offense was up and down the field, but up and down the field at times offense, which is more than almost never being up and down the field.
It's the best performance they had all year.
Without question, right? So.
And against a defense that's not as good as Ole Miss's this week.
Yeah, I mean, on some areas, but.
They're 117th in total defense, 118th in rushing defense, and 130th overall. So
I think Ole Miss is pretty damn bad defensively too. And I know their stats don't say that, but watching them,
and
I think they started out strong early. But like I did say the other day, if you want to really feel how great a job Connor Wigman did, just compare his stats to Drew Levis. Will Levis. Drew Levis. Who's Drew?
Drew Locke's son.
Drew Locke, Will Levis from earlier in the season. Compare those stats to what he did.
Yep.
So you ought to be able to move the ball on these guys and score points, obviously. And those numbers get skewed when you play Georgia and Tennessee, first of all, and Utah, by the way, good offensive team. But they're still not good defensively. And there was a great opportunity, like you said, to build on that. There still is. I mean, there's some big-name guys that have not practiced very much this week, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
So it'll be tough. And if they do win this game, then I think you start to feel much, much better. Even if it's back to that old way that they beat Arkansas and the score-type games that they barely lost. If it's like Bama, if it's 23-20, 24-20, 24-17, whatever it may be, even if it's like that, I think you throw out kind of the aesthetics of it and just say, man, they found a way to win. That's pretty remarkable. And that's what they're trying to do tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because Florida's not a good team. By no metric are they even good.
I would say South Carolina's the same way, right?
Yeah, exactly. But you went on the road at South Carolina, and you got
quarterback hurt,
kind of raided and ambushed.
Yeah.
And your quarterback hurt. Who knows? Wigman came in and had some juice, but Haynes had played that whole game and was making some plays in that football game.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, South Carolina's not good, David. But if you think of the swing between playing here versus playing there, if this team was healthy, I think they'd roll Florida tomorrow.
I do too.
How shocked as an LSU fan, Caroline, are you to be sitting here today and we're about to talk about LSU Bama, where the winner is in a prime position to win the West in a game where Nick Saban's bringing the Crimson Tide into Baton Rouge, and I think most folks in purple and gold believe they can win. I don't know how many think they are, but they believe they can. And the fact that we're even saying that, and they should believe that, is shocking to me. I know you and I were texting during that Florida State game. How far has this program come, and what do they need to do to beat Alabama? Give me the formula on how they win that game tomorrow night.
I mean, it is incredibly shocking because I went into this season, I'm like, look, LSU could go 6-6, LSU could go 9-3. I just don't know what to expect. And then after that Florida State game, how sloppy and slow and just overall bad LSU looked, I thought, man, this is going to be a very, very long season. But the fact that you're right, the fact that we can even have a conversation about LSU having a potential road to the SEC championship, we can have an actual conversation about LSU beating Alabama. I never would have expected that we would have been here. And it's been, continual progress, not linear progress, but continual progress from this entire team and this coaching staff throughout the season. So I think a lot of LSU fans are shocked in the best way possible. But the way that LSU wins this weekend, I think that the biggest aspect doesn't have anything to do with LSU at all. And it's simply the way that Alabama has been playing on the road and how much they have struggled on the road, not just this season, but ever since Bryce Young has taken over as the starting quarterback. Alabama has all of their road games have been decided, all but 2 have been decided by 3 points. And Alabama has lost 2 of their games in the last 2 seasons on the road. They commit penalties on the road more than they do at home. I mean, and the 3 games that they've played on the road this year, Arkansas, Tennessee, and Texas, they've combined for 42 penalties for 355 yards. And that's just an astronomical number for any team, but especially a Nick Saban coach team. So I think that's the biggest thing is how can the crowd affect Alabama? Is Alabama going to continue this trend of playing poorly on the road? And I think the other side of it is what Jaden Daniels are you going to get? Because if we see the LSU offense that we saw against Florida and against Ole Miss, I think that this LSU team has a really good shot. And how do you contain Bryce Young? Because I think Bryce Young is the best quarterback in the country, and I think he might be the best player in the country, to be completely honest with you. So how do you get pressure on Bryce Young, and how do you contain him in the pocket? How do you limit what he can do? And with this LSU front 7, I think that they have a pretty good shot. But that's the key there. Jaden Daniels takes care of the football. If it's a balanced offense, if they're able to limit what Bryce Young can do offensively, that's the key to success.
It was still encouraging
for sure.
You know, I came away after the game not discouraged, not mad. I was disappointed we didn't, pull out the victory, but I felt very encouraged with the future of the program. Looking at 6 freshmen starting on offense, which is insane.
That's berserk.
No, you've never heard of a team ever even be mildly competitive with 6 freshmen starting. And here we are. Should have probably beaten this team. I felt like we were better than. We kind of we gave them that opening drive of the third quarter where they go down the field and get the stupid scramble where there was 3 holdings. 3
holdings in the end zone.
3 holdings they don't even call them. Sitting there screaming at the TV.
Then the pass interference.
Pass interference, face mask, all on third downs. All on third down stops, we get penalties. So that was a disastrous drive.
You're pointing out something that is frustrating to me. It's one of those years. And A&M's done so much to kill themselves that they don't deserve to expect breaks to go their way.
Right.
Because we could name a few things in South Carolina, and then you could just say, well, don't go offsides 8 times. Don't snap the ball off the quarterback's leg. Don't throw an interception. Don't give up a kickoff return in a complete, just the weakest tackling I've ever seen in my life. Don't do those things. But you look at things like not getting the seconds against Bama. You look at last year against LSU with the Damani Richardson play where he took the ball from him. It's a fumble. The game's over. Now, I would also tell you then get 2 yards on 3rd and 2. Get a stop on 4th and 6 or 8, whatever it was. I get all that. But that fumble that wasn't called, that 4 seconds to give A&M a second play down there at the goal line, and then, again, I'll go back to have 2 timeouts. Have 2 timeouts against Bama. But Saturday night, that drive should have never happened. That was 1,000% due to poor officiating.
Yep.
Nothing else about it except poor officiating. That was all it was due to. And then the second part was that field goal drive they had, which was more than a field goal, Steve, because it was a field goal in an 8-minute drive that really showed up later in the game. On that fake field goal, the SEC's acknowledged that was an illegal formation. Now, again, tackle better. Again, scheme better against the run. Again, don't go 2 quarters of stagnant offense. I get all that, and that's why that's the real reason why A&M lost. But I just named you get Alabama, Ole Miss, LSU. Those were significant games that A&M really got put in a rough spot because of officiating. And if you don't think that's true and you want to ignore everything I've said following those 3 losses in terms of, hey, there's no one to blame but yourselves for these games. But if you want to ignore all that and say, oh, they're sitting there blaming officials, that's fine. But that is factual, man. And that game Saturday night, Ole Miss was given 10 points by the Stripes. They were given 10 points and about an 8-minute drive.
Nick, help us close it out. Why don't you have Ethan tell people, if he knows, what they're supposed to do?
Okay, well, he doesn't have his headphones in, so let's see what he says. I'm just going to give him the mic.
Tell him. Do you know what to do?
The show is great. Is that what we were asking for?
No, what are they supposed to do after they watch the video? He can't hear me, can he?
Like, subscribe, share.
Okay, he knows what to do.
That's pretty good.
He's really smart. All right, it is TexAgs Rewind. Thanks so much for watching.